Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down. Actually, the prostitutes did, and Jack just slaughtered them. Good evening, folks. It's 12 a.m. and we are ready to take off with our midnight scream. So if you aren't aware, today marks the anniversary of history's most mysterious man's serial killings. So, who is this enigmatic man? It's only Jack the Ripper, of course. Saucy Jack, the Whitechapel Killer, the London Ripper. Sure, you've all heard of Vlad the Impaler, Elizabeth Bathory, and the Zodiac Killer, but Jack is your man when it comes to pure mystery. Well, Jack was a guy who killed several prostitutes in the Whitechapel area of London, England. Unfortunately, his identity remains a secret up to now. The only difference between Jack and the other guys is he liked to mutilate his victims' bodies with a 6-inch knife in under 15 minutes, out in the open. And by out in the open, folks, I mean he killed those women out in the streets. He actually had an unreasonable habit of taking his victims' bodily organs as well as murdering them. The fact that nobody ever witnessed these murders adds to the mystery this man created. So we ask, who in the world is Jack the Ripper? I can't give you folks an exact name, but according to many ripperologists, Jack was sadistic, quiet, charming, and bold. He had a strong hate for prostitutes, most likely caused by child abuse. A loner type of man would fit his persona that not only lived in London, but lived in the Whitechapel area. If you don't believe Jack is all those things, then listen up, folks, because you're about to take a ride to hell and back. He's the guy who would have a case of sadism because of the escalation in kills. Meaning the time span between the kills gets shorter every time, and the damage done to the bodies drastically advanced. There was no real motive behind the kills because the victimology is only same in one way. It was all for pleasure, and the victims being prostitutes is a major contributor to that fact. He showed he hated prostitutes due to something traumatizing in his childhood, which would be child abuse. I mean, nobody turns into a ripper of throats unless there's something that would provoke them to do so, especially since his targets were all prostitutes. Not only did he lust for blood, but he hated prostitutes because of his childhood. Of course, Jack had to be the stereotypical serial killer personality. A person who would be quite a loner, charming, bold, and educated would be his kind of personality. Loner because if he was well known, people would have caught him by now and he wouldn't have been the greatest mystery of all time. Of course, Jack would have to be educated due to the letters he sent to the press. Many of these letters represent a hoax, but only 2 of them have been proved to belong to Jack the Ripper. This kind in itself proves that he is educated enough to be able to read and write. Not only that, but he was able to surgically remove organs from his victims in under 15 minutes. How's that for smart? Now, he should have been able to live in the Whitechapel area where the killings took place, otherwise he would have been caught by then. Jack knows his way around the area well. As well as this, he would have had no professional occupation. He would have been the type to want to be around people or want to communicate with others. He would have a more quiet job. So what exactly did Jack look like? How about we ask the witnesses? Indeed, folks, there are witnesses. Many witnesses stated that they saw the victims very intoxicated with alcohol, always leaving a bar or club with a middle-aged man around the time of the murders. This man was always seen wearing a long dark coat, dark trousers, a black hat, a fine mustache, and having a good complexion. He was dressed up finely, not too rich, not too poor, and was actually rather short, around the 5'6" range, but what linked all these witness accounts together was the mere fact they distinctly remembered that he always had a red handkerchief. Always. So now we pop the question again, folks. Who was Jack the Ripper? He was a sadistic middle-aged man, abused as a child through some horrible event involving prostitutes, which made him hate them. He was educated, charming, and bold, but at the same time, the Ripper would have been a loner. Obviously, he would have lived in the Whitechapel area, and most of all, he would have been mysterious. This has been Hind Ali with your midnight scream on our infamous Jack the Ripper. Don't forget that. I bid you all a good night, and sleep tight, folks.